Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build. So this week, Bethesda released a brand new log cabin building set into Fallout 76 at a very reasonable price in the Atomic Shop. So I thought we'd pick that up today and have a little look around, see what we can produce with it. So, headed down to the forest for this one, as it seems appropriate for a log cabin, and let's have a look at where we are. So there we are, right in a large sort of swath of wooded area that doesn't get a vast amount of traffic. You see Tyler County Fairgrounds just across the way there, just north of Vault 76, and that is Lady Janet's Soft Serve, which is the easiest place to find this from. There's Anchor Farm over the way there. You see, this entire sort of region is thick woods with not much in it apart from that, and you see a little band of stuff on the map there that's a good indicator of where we are. This little wrecked truck here. It's actually a pretty common spot for NPCs to spawn, so scavengers and the like, generally having to poke around that car there. So, kind of an interesting spot. In hindsight, given how clean this particular building set is, maybe not the right spot for this particular build, but it works out alright. So we've got a scavenger making an appearance there as well. So we'll get some foundations in first, as per. And sort of see what we're working with here. This area is quite a cool spot, really tucked back in the woods. I like it a lot. But as I say, perhaps something with the original wooden build set might have been a little more suited to the scrappy area, but building a log cabin in the woods did seem like the way to go. So there's actually a sort of set of tire tracks you can kind of follow down from the road to the spot. They're kind of hard to spot, but they are there. So, basic foundation in so far. I'm going to sort of work around the corner and mix up the shape a little bit. This is actually my second effort to build this set. My first one just turned out as a hideous boxy mess, so I had a little jump onto Google and looked up log cabins and just sort of stared at those for about a minute and got my brain onto the right sort of pattern, really. And then sort of went to town with it, and this is more or less what we came up with. It's pretty pleased with the results. So, you can see we've got quite a cool looking set of things to work with here. We've got decent set of nice wide windows in here that actually have glass in them, which is an improvement over a lot of the other building sets, so definitely happy with that. A couple of foundations in at the back there. As I say, they're a little too clean really, but it does work, especially if you find the right location. So we're going to go around the corner here, because if I put a foundation in there, A, it'll be very square and boxy, and B, it'll clip through the ground way too much, as there's very uneven ground here. It's kind of lumpy and bumpy and sort of slopes up towards the back there. We've got the basic front of the structure on. I get a kind of weird, if IKEA built log cabins kind of vibe out this building set. There's an odd flat pack vibe to it. It's a bit strange. So we're going to go with a big kind of, I suppose, Scandinavian vibe here. Get a nice wide arching roof on the top of this. Get some extra height on there, and some triangular roof pieces, triangular wall pieces rather, the support roofs. And get those roofs on top. There we go, nice wide Scandinavian-esque roof look to it. That's the basic premise from the front. Let's get the little roof over the front porch here. As long as you've got the walls in first, they do snap reasonably okay one on top of the other like that. Needs a little bit of build order in that. In fact, this whole building set has its own build order restrictions, so something to bear in mind when you're tinkering around with it. Close up the gap there. We've got a few gaps in between the walls there that just have to do with where they're snapped onto the foundation, so it's something to keep an eye on. You may have to adjust as you go. I'll come back to those in a bit. More of the roof on. Start put some upper floors in and the back walls. So, gone with the standalone staircase here, because I didn't really want the frame and the mesh flooring that comes with it. So, a little bit of accommodation is needed to sort of plan for that. We need it to be reasonably wide, make sure there's plenty of space for the staircase to go through without it being obnoxiously in the way. This floor's in. There we go. Pop up top, put one more in there. Nice. I'm only going to have a small upstairs space. It's basically going to need to be big enough for sort of 2 people, really. Which is fine. That's all you really need for a camp. I'm going to extend outside the main walls here, so I've got a bit of space outside on the side. As this place is not really big enough as it stands to have a crafting area, which of course we will need. So we'll extend a bit so we've got the space. Having a little bit of an issue with this back door here. You see it doesn't want to snap in there, and it's just because the floor is above it. Now pull that back out again, and now we can make it work. So particularly with getting floors and walls in, that's where the build order starts to be a bit of an issue. On the whole though, this build actually came together quite smoothly and didn't require too much chopping and changing, which was nice. Drop a window in there, that's going to be where our kitchen is. And we'll close off this upper edge. I bet you can leave that lower section there open to the roof. Just give it a bit of extra headroom, give it a bit of a different vibe in that room. It's going to be a kind of study type deal. Close up this back edge. I'm actually going to make a few changes because obviously we don't actually have half window versions of these half walls, and I did want a little bit of extra daylight coming in through the back here, so I'll swap those out for greenhouse walls, which actually work quite well with this build, as you'll see in a minute. They go together surprisingly nicely given the metal frames on the greenhouse. You'd think it would be sort of sticking out a bit, not really looking like it belonged, but it does work. A bit of a hard time getting the roof on here at the back, partly because of those triangular walls. Sometimes they make it easier, sometimes they're awkward, particularly if you're on the outside there. So pull it off, start at the bottom and work your way up is generally easier. But I've got to be awkward and do things the other way around. So on the side here, I wanted a kind of like a woodshed type deal that's been converted into a crafting area. Definitely wanted a roof over it, rather than just an open balcony. So get some more walls in, get some more roofs in that could follow the line and extend down. It actually gives it a kind of off-center look to the build, which, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not in favour of that sort of thing. In this case, I think it kind of makes it a little more unique and a little more interesting to look at. Get that roof on there. I was debating here whether or not to put a fence underneath that bit of roof at the right there, or to put another wall. And as we'll see in a moment, for good reason, I chose to put a wall there. So we are going to have a fence around the front of this place, which, to be honest, isn't strictly speaking necessary, I don't think, but I went down that road anyway. I'll get them stairs on here. I'm going to use the contemporary ones here, as they go the full width of the foundation. It just looks a little better when you're doing more than one of them. They don't quite blend with everything else in the way that the original set does, but at a glance it works, so better than having the gaps anyway. There we go. A railing on the front. We have our, more or less, our main structure together. A couple more additions to make. See, there we go. I've spotted the gaps now. So pop that wall back. And there we go. Closes that one up. So coming back out to the back, put this last couple of bits of roof on. Some railings on. There we go. These things will still snap to foundations, but they won't snap to upper floors anymore, which is very annoying. See there, it just didn't look very good with a fence underneath the roof, so swap it out for a wall. One more roof on, just to extend this a little further down on the back. Oh no, it's already there. We need to put some support in though. So, obviously, just before Christmas with Steel Dawn, Bethesda kind of messed up the posts here, and they're a bit finicky about what they will and won't snap to and where they will and won't go. In this case, I was pleasantly surprised to find out it would work. Snapping it straight onto the foundations was a bit awkward, but the snapping it to a corner technique that we used here, using that extra side one to force it to snap, does work. Can't just put that half one on the top, unfortunately, but if I put the floor back in, there we go, that will convince it that it does want to snap on top. So we now have support for that corner of the roof. Now we take the floor out and it behaves just fine. So, certain circumstances it's still working and some it's not. I'm quite liking these retextured roofs actually. They're a bit nicer than some of the other ones we've been given. They've got a nice little rough edge to them as well, which is quite cool. So, just to complete the sort of area out front and to provide us with somewhere for our player vending, I'm going to drop a log cabin prefab in that we've had since last summer, I think it was. This thing's pretty cool, so obviously the inspiration for the set worked quite well. I'm going to put it over here on the right as it didn't look particularly good in that back corner and cuts way too much into the edge of the build area. So I'm going to set it on a bit of an angle, make things a bit more interesting. Make sure it's not too close to this little sort of set of tyre tracks here that are leading into that central area. So there we go, nudge it a bit back. It's kind of close to the edge of the build area there. Cuts through a little bit. We can work with that. So, we need some steps on the front. Which obviously they don't snap to this particular prefab, which is very annoying. But if we line up a foundation, nice and carefully, make sure it's the right height. A little bit of filling required. We can then basically glitch one in. A little bit of adjustment required there. There we go, looks about right. So we'll take the log cabin off again. And attach a foundation on the back. So this is the one we actually want to snap the stairs to. We'll move this one over, because we need a second one. Find the stairs. Going to use the basic ones here, because the fact they're a bit smaller makes them fit to the log cabin a bit better. Now, if we take this foundation out, and then the second one, we can leave the stairs there alone. So, we'll drop the log cabin back in. Maneuver it up to the staircase. Just tweak the height. And the line a little bit. And it's not perfect, but we have a functional staircase that will allow us to progress through the door without having to jump. Which is great. Last little bit of fine-tuning. And I will head off and decorate this place, and we'll take a little look around the finished product. So get that level with the top of the stairs there. A little bit of patience required. There we go. So, let's decorate and have a look around, shall we? Here we go, nice evening tour. I added quite a lot during the decoration phase of this one. So a lot of extra trees added in, because obviously there's a fair few of them that have been bulldozed as I've built. So just to flesh it out, give it a bit more of that forest vibe. Nice little bit of God rays in the evening, looking good. Over here on the left, we've got a little farm area that I've just tucked in. I've basically flipped these fences around and alternated them so that I can put them in freehand, just to use the space I've got available. Couple of outhouses on the back there. My shelter tucked in there. No water in this area, unfortunately, so small water purifier is a necessity, but it does work. My main power generator is that windmill, but I've also got a fusion core one tucked out of sight around the back of the build. And then just carefully running the wires around so it doesn't trail too much, and it looks alright, blends in. A little bit of decoration on our log cabin here. We'll head on inside. Let's squeeze the vendors in, a little place to wait if you need to. A few signs for a little indication as to what we're selling. Light's fairly basic, but just about enough. Obviously, once you turn the vendors on, everything will glow green as well, but works nicely. The two Vault Boy statues just close off that back corner that I can't actually build in, because that's where the build area cuts through. I've just tucked a few reverse junk fences around the bottom of the windmill there, just to make it a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more permanent. See, with the car and the non-functioning cooking station there, I've had to add a little bit more scrappiness to the place just to make it not look so out of place. So a couple of weeks ago, Bethesda added also the little awnings for the windows that I put on the front here. Definitely works on this one, breaks up that front texture quite nicely. Pick those up in the Atomic Shop, they're quite nice, on part of the White Springs bundle. See, we had the extra windows on the top there. A few of the cage lights hanging down there just to give it a nice warming look. It goes well with the wooden textures as well. I've squeezed all the workbenches in here. Got a fox hanging out, because of course we do. There's always a lot of wildlife in this location, which is quite nice actually. I had to chop and change a lot with the workbenches and figure out what order they were going to look best in, so putting them in, moving them around, changing them out until I found something that I felt worked. Yeah, nice little look over our front area there. I'll swing on inside. The decoration on this has actually taken the thing right up to the limit of the build budget. There's maybe a couple of things that I've got left stored. So, definitely very full, this one. Nice little sitting room area at the front here. Little kitchen. We've got Yasmin's cooking station there that is also usable, which is very cool. Tucked into the space. Felt it was going to go quite well to have her in there. We often get the Settler Forager and the Wanderer, the musician, out front as well here, so it's quite a cool spot for that. A few of the paintings up on the wall. Seemed paintings were the way to go with this rather than posters for this build, I thought. Nice little study area on the side there. We'll head on through. Bit of an FPS hog, this area, but what can we do? As I say, right up to the limit of the build budget here, so only so much I could put on the display cases. But they do break up the textures quite nicely. A little look around upstairs. You can see front and back I've added those half windows from the greenhouse set. Just a little bit more light in here, open it up a little bit more. One of the new vault beds from the current season, I believe. I think it was the current season. Very nice to have, a little bit of bedding on them. We'll have a little look outside. A little al fresco dining area just behind the door there. And on this side, because the floor is clipping through the foundation, I thought, rather than have that visible, we'll turn it into a kind of rock garden with the new rock set that Bethesda have added. Unfortunately, the rocks aren't quite as large as I might like. They'd be a bit more useful if there are some more larger ones in there, but the little rockery in the corner kind of works. Had to lock the gate because the wildlife keep opening it. Unfortunately, try as I might, putting anything on top of that little tree that's sticking up there just causes it to shift slightly to the side rather than preventing it coming back, which is mildly aggravating, but it does look alright. Oh, nice little cabin in the woods. Fit for a little break from the wasteland. We'll take a little swing past the side here and make our way back over to the entrance area. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes for me. It's always very, very much appreciated. Social media links, merch store, and channel memberships are all available down below the video. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, it is massively, massively appreciated as well, and very, very much helps out. So, much obliged to those who've already done that. And if you get a chance to join us for some other live streams as well, having a lot of fun, making some good progress with Cyberpunk now, getting well on into Act 2, and enjoying playing a little bit of Fallout, working our way through the current season as well. So I hope you'll join us for that. But for now, I'll say a massive thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.